Okay, this is video 15. I'm going to show you how to now create large levels, and in this video I'm going to show you how to scale the screen so that we can still see the whole level on screen. The next video is going to show you how to do viewports. Okay, right then, so let's first of all add a new level. So I'm going to copy my level 1 data. You can copy whatever data you want. So I'm just going to copy the data and the start data from level 1. So find a suitable gap just above draw level. And oops, a suitable gap, Eric. Just above draw level. That'll do. Paste it in. Right, first thing I'm going to do is change the name. So this is going to be level 3. And that's going to be level 3 start data. If you don't rename them, you'll get errors because it'll say name already exists. Right, I'm going to make this level wider and taller as well. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it 10 wider. So I'm on my top row, I'm going to put 10 more 4. So I'm going to say 4, comma, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, now I could do it with a load of zeros and do that for all these lines, but I'm not that mad, so I'm going to use find and replace to do this. So I'm going to highlight the 4 and the brace on the next line down. I'm going to go Control F, and then on quick replace I'm going to put no, so 10 of these, and that's a comma. So I've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I want to put a 4 and a brace. So I'm saying replace 4 and a brace with 10 zeros and 4 and brace. Now if I don't click replace all, click replace one at a time. So I'm doing that line. Just move my window out of the way. Yep, it lines up. Do that line, that line, that line, that line. Keep going until we've done all of those rows. I can't do that last row, okay, because I've got to put those 4s in because I want my edge brick. So 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, until it lines up. Okay, right, I'm going to add some extra rows. So that I've made that 46 columns now, so I'm going to type that, and I'm going to add some extra rows, find a blank one, and then I'm going to paste it 10 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I've made it 30 rows tall, so considerably bigger. Now my numbering's gone all to pot because I've copied line 14, so I'm just going to rejig that. Oh God, not 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. 29. So 30 rows. Remember the first row is 0. Okay, so my start data I'm going to rejig. The 2 2's alright, but this, instead of being at 33, it's going to be at 43 because I added 10. So that makes it quite nice and easy. And that's going to be at 27, 27, 43. In my example, if you choose to do a different number, that's up to you. Okay. Right. I'm now going to build the code in draw level, so I'll come down to the bottom. If we just look at how we normally have done this, the first part, well, if you say like case 2, which is level 2, we've set the world size straight away to be the same as the screen. Now this one is bigger than the screen, so that's not going to work. Okay, so we're going to do it slightly different. We can do case 3 and break, put those in straight away. Right, what we're going to do is we're going to create a blank tile sheet. So active level equals new tile map, and all we're going to specify in here is the name. So previously we put the name and the size, but we don't know what the size is yet. So we're going to do it slightly different. So I'm going to say large level test is what I'm going to call it. Obviously you give it a proper name. That's all I'm going to say. Then I'm going to add my tiles. So I'm going to say assets dot active level dot my tile list equals my world tiles, the same tiles. I'm now going to copy the correct level data over. Active level dot set map copy 32 32 level 3. Okay, and I'm going to set my actor data, so assets dot active level dot actor start equals level 3 start data. Okay, then I'm going to say gm dot tilemap manager add this new level I've just created. Assets dot active level. Right, at this point I'm now ready to set the world size. Now the world size is the size in which all the sprites operate. Okay, if you don't set the world size, you can't like make your sprites wrap around the world very easily. Alright, and it enables lots of testing and complicated things that you don't have to worry about, that the game engine needs to know in order to like efficiently manage your sprites. So what we're going to do is we're going to say gm dot engine manager world size. So we're going to use this subroutine, this method, to set the size of the world, and we want the width. So we're going to ask the tile map for the active level how big it is. So I'm going to say assets dot active level dot dimension width, and I'm going to put it on the next line down. So I've done a comma, and I'm going to say assets dot active level dot dimension. Notice how I can use the picker to make this bit quick. Height. So I'm saying set the world size to whatever the size of this map is. Okay, because it's not the same as the screen, so I'm doing it that way. Right, the next thing we want to do is we want to set up the scaling. Now in the next video we're going to do viewports. So I'm going to put a mechanism in. So I'm going to scroll right to the top of level data. I'm going to put a variable in, a boolean. So I'm going to say public static bool scale large levels, I'm going to call it, and I'm going to set it to true, and I'm going to use this to turn on and off eventually either scaling or viewports. Okay, so I'm putting it in now ready for later. So let's go back down to level data. So for my level 3 setup, I'm now going to say if scale large levels. I don't have to say equals true because it's a boolean directly, so it's either true or false. Okay, so I can say if scale large levels. If that's true, let's have a go at the scaling. Now we don't know, well no, that's a bad way of wording it. We want the whole level to appear on screen. Okay, now if it's a very wide level, what we don't want to happen is to stretch or squash the tiles. We could do that, alright, but that would look awful. So we want to keep everything looking proportionate. So we need to know whether we need to scale horizontally or vertically to fit the whole level on screen. So the way we can do that is to work out what the horizontal scale is compared to the screen size, work out what the horizontal scale is vertically compared to the screen size, and use the smallest value. So that's what we're going to do first. Okay, and this will be our scale factor. So inside our if, we're going to say float hx, so this is the height scale, equals gm dot screen size. So let's ask the screen how tall it is, and we're going to divide it by the height of our level. Now we've put float on here because these values are integers, whole numbers, and we want to make sure we get a fraction, otherwise it's not going to scale very well because it'll be 1 or 0. Okay, so that's going to give us our calculation for, oops, I did that. Right, that's going to give our calculation for the ratio for the scale of the height. Then we're going to do the width. So it's exactly the same, but we're using the width values divided by float assets dot active level dot dimension dot width. Okay, Now we want which of those is the smallest, and there's a nice way of doing that. Microsoft provided a quite nice math library that'll do that work for us, and it makes our code look nice. We just say, give me the minimum of these two values, hx and wx, and it'll give us the smallest one. And what that'll do is, if the height needs to be the smaller scale so that we fit the whole thing on vertically, we'll use that one. If the width needs to be the smaller scale, we'll use that one instead. Okay, so that's set up and worked out our scale factor. So I'm going to put a comment above there, and this will make sure. We'll have borders around the screen, but that's fine. Right, we're now going to do the scaling. We need to tell the tile map to scale itself. So we can do that bit first. So we can say assets.activeLevel.RenderProperties.createMatrix equals true. Okay, so that says I want you to work out a scale matrix for me and apply it. Now we need to give it the data. So RenderProperties.scaleFactor equals SF. That's our scale factor. Okay, so that will do that. We also need to make sure that the sprite layers, so how the sprites are drawn, they're scaled as well. Otherwise we're going to end up with something really screwy going on. Alright, so let's just do that bit. So scale sprites. Now sprites are drawn on lots of different layers, but we've only used layer 0, so we need this format to access the render properties of sprite layer 0. So gm.engineManager render properties, and then we say in square brackets render layer dot sprite 0, and then we say dot create matrix equals true. So the formatting's the same. The way we access the render properties for a sprite layer is slightly different to a tile map, more complicated because there's more than one. Right, and then we're just going to set the scale factor for this. So render properties, render layer. See how the pick is remembering what I did? So it's reducing the amount of keys I have to press. Okay, so that just says create a scaling matrix for sprite layer 0 and set the scale factor for sprite layer 0 to SF. Okay, so if we run this, it should work. And it won't work because I've got one more thing that I haven't remembered to do. But let's just run it and see what happens. So F2 toggles between. It's only going through my first two levels. That's because at the top of level data we see how many levels we've got. We've now got 3, so I'm just going to change total levels to 3. Okay, so I'll run it again. Trigger. Right, so F2. There you go, it's scaled. So this level was taller than it is wider compared to the screen size. We've got an oblong screen, but it is taller, so it scaled it to make sure that it fits vertically on the screen, which means we've got a border on the right hand side. It looks a bit naff. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to add one more line to center the tile map in the screen. So let's go straight down to the bottom of level data again, and at the end of our scale large levels, inside the if, we're going to say assets.activeLevel.center tile map, gm.screen size. Okay, that's just going to center. I'm going to put a comment center level data. Alright, so run it again. So I'll run through that little bit of code again when we come out of it this time. We've got a problem that we'll have to fix. So go onto it and there you go. So I've got even borders left and right hand side. Play it and you see your tanks you can move around, and they should be able to drive up to each other. Cool, it's a long way away now. Remember, it's only jerking on this video because of the recording software. There you go, going. Right, if I press F2 to go to another level, my level's drawing at the right size, normal size, but my sprites are still scaled. Okay, so we need to turn scaling off for the sprites when we're not scaling the level. Alright, so there's an easy way of doing this. If we go in to draw level, and just at the top we're just going to turn off scaling for the sprite level. So we're going to say gm.engine-manager render properties render layer sprite 0 dot create matrix equals false. So we're just turning it off, and then if we choose to, for the level we're drawing, turn it back on, it gets turned on. Okay, so let's run it again. So just test that F2. There we go, we scale back. Oh, back to normal. Scale back to normal. So everything's working. And notice how Fragger doesn't change size, because that's on a different layer. That's on the hood layer. If your Fragger is changing size, then you didn't set the hood layer for the Fragger graphic. The other thing that you'll notice is that yours won't work, because I forgot to say right at the start of this video that you need to upgrade your engine. See in the top left hand corner it says engine 7.0.2.6. That's the version of the engine you need. I fixed quite a few bugs when I was doing this code in the engine. Ones that had existed for ages that I couldn't get my head around, and now I've fixed them. So, okay, right, so the next video is going to show you how to, instead of scaling, do viewports.